not my skill set, nor do I want to learn it.
Sometimes, because I put up stuff which I kind of test
in the wilderness. I don't know if I was the best one to teach them that. However, and although it was a really
that when you said, I was like, oh,
the baby out with the bathwater.
I do know where that.
So for me, rather than doing something half-heartedly or like just half. Hello, and welcome everyone to the Time to Shine Happiness Show. We are so happy that you are with us today. And we have got a great show. Stay tuned because we're going to be talking about building strong business relationships. And and all of us have, chances are, heard the thing that it's the know, like, and trust factor. And yet, is that really enough in today's world? So stay tuned. We are going to dive into what it takes to really create a meaningful connection and lasting success for you. And we're going to have an eye-opening, he is fabulous, an eye-opening conversation with our special guest, Bob Graham. So stay tuned for that. Because, Barb, at Time to Shine, we want to share inspiration, joy, and help you, the audience, connect with what lights you up. What brings you success in life and business? And that's what we're all about. So I'm one of your hosts, Barbara Ellison. I'm a transformational life mentor, and I work with career professionals to have them lead happy, healthy, vibrant, and active, debt-free, and abundant lives. But my new thing of how I do it is mind-body architecture.
Oh, wow.
Connecting with what's in our mind with what's in our body. So, and Barb, I'm so happy to be here with you. You are my fabulous co-host.
It's like the happy sauce today. I love it. Before we started, a wonderful, we always have queens come on. I call the men kings that come on. So we got a king coming on, and he was just fabulous before we were going to be even starting the show. So I'm excited. I'm happy. We're here. You're here, my wonderful, wonderful co-host. And again, making happiness the norm, right? With that, I'm on the other side of the fence of what Barbara does, Barbara Ellison, because of the BBs. I basically help people really understand their purpose and not just saying, oh, I'm, a title, but deep, understand that purpose, why you're here. You're just not put here just poof and be like, okay, I'm just here, just walking around the world. No, you're here for a purpose. And then after that, we got to get you seen. We got to give you visibility. We got to put you out there. You got to be light to the world. As I always tell people, that's my saying. You're light to the world. You bring people in so they can understand what they do and their purpose. And everybody has what, Barbara? Their own gifts. So it's so important to do that. Yes.
Right. And that's where the know, like, and I truly believe that's where the know, like, and trust factor comes in. And this is what Bob is going to go into more. I always, people want to know who you are, what you do, and why do you do it? Because it's not just about selling. I mean, we all have products and services that we need to sell. Absolutely. Because the world goes around. I don't care if you're a grocery store or a jeweler or a plumber. You have services and products that you need to sell.
Yeah.
However, it's about connecting.
Yeah.
And it's about credibility. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it?
Yeah. And you know what I throw in there all the time, because I tell everybody, my clients, people I talk to, just anybody, that you have to build those relationships with people so they can go into the next phase with you. If you're bringing them into your world of service and products, if you're bringing them into your world of maybe sponsoring you, if you're just bringing it to your world for be a friend. See, some people forget that. Sometimes the relationship doesn't have to always be the, okay, I'm trying to sell you something. It's more sometimes just being that friend. And sometimes a friend can turn into even more of a value than even being that client. So I really believe in strong building relationships. And I tell people all the time, you just don't sit there and say, hey, my name is such and such. Can you buy this?
Right. Well, that's like you and I started as friends.
Yeah.
We were in a group together.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it was like, ooh, what can we do together?
Yeah.
Now here we are almost 6 years later.
Oh, we're going to be making the 10 mark a little while. We'll be like with 10 anniversary with us. That's amazing. Amazing. But it started, like you said, I'm glad you used this example for the beginning. It started as relationship building. And I know Bob's going to talk more about this because he's the guru in this, is about storytelling, about telling your story, about understanding who that person is. And that's, I think, where the emotional and the empathy comes in at when you're thinking about people. Because a lot of times after I hear somebody's story, that's what resonates and builds me to another level of getting to know them even more and understand them even more, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so important. It's that power of liking, that you like somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because what makes you different than somebody else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things is that, have you ever worked with somebody just for the sake that you liked them? And that's how you and I started. We liked what each other does. We like I can't talk. We like what each of us do. Let's speak English.
Yeah.
So then we found we could do things together.
And then like I'm glad you said that too, Barbara. Like, just sometimes I just do things because of that person, their personality, the way they, resemble themselves. I mean, just the whole, I always say this, somebody has this, every time I meet somebody, I ask them, I said, something about you, you just resonate, you just pull people in. I said, you are amazing, and just to be in the world, when that world with them. So when people say, well, I have somebody, like if you tell me, Barbara, I have somebody you can meet, I don't have no problem in saying, okay, come on, let's meet him, because I know you. Because I know how you are. I know how, you gel and everything. And I was like, well, shoot, if Barbara's saying that this person's, see, how you hear that a lot. If that person's saying that person, then I don't have to even think about it, because I really cherish and I respect the person that, my friend, and I respect what she says. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and it's all related.
It's all related.
Because we grab, and the thing is, can I give the show a plug that we're going to do on, we're going to do another show together, and we're talking about being the real you. Mm-hmm. And you asked us to give a little tip of what we can do. Well, my tip was be the real you. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Because we all get caught up in the, I should do this because this person does it that way.
Yeah.
And they're successful, so I should do it this way. So we get all of these mixed emotions and mixed signals and mixed from the time we're kids. Mm-hmm. I wish you were more like so-and-so.
Mm. Oh, woo. Yeah, that starts the whole thing.
That starts the whole ball rolling, whole beeswax. And then, of course, we come to being an adult, and guess what we're stuck in? Our 7-year-old self.
Yes.
Who was like, why can't you be more like your older brother? Or why can't you do this like so-and-so? Well, because I'm not them. I'm me.
Yeah.
I'm the unique me. Mm-hmm. And for myself, I realized that I spent the first 60 years of my life living through someone else's lens.
See, that's why it's so important to understand yourself, like you just said, Barbara, and then understand your purpose, what you have in yourself. Because you got to start. We always say this. We got to start with you first before you do any kind of meeting, relationships, building, whatever it is, because you're going to go out looking for something. And that's what I did. I'm just putting myself out there.
Yeah.
A long time ago, looking for things from people instead of really not even respecting yourself and loving on you.
Right.
So you have to do that first, and then everything else comes after that. Because a long time I used to ask myself when I was younger, in my 20s, a long time ago, I used to.
We won't talk how many decades ago.
Yeah, how many decades ago? But I always was trying to figure out, Barbara, every male friend or even turn to a boyfriend, whatever, I was getting the same ones. It was almost like that. What's Einstein say, you keep looking for a different result. That's called, insanity.
Insanity.
Well, yeah, I was going insanity to the seventh power because
Right.
I used to always say, why do I keep this related to these same guys? And they do the same thing, and I'm like, ugh, and then go through the same thing. It's like, oh my God. Then I had a like a light bulb moment. I said,
Right.
oh, well, you're looking for something in them that you don't even have in yourself yet because you feel like you are not worthy to get love, or, you know, maybe daddy issues or whatever may be, which I did. And the daddy issues was like my father left. I mean, well, basically, unfortunately, he passed away when I was 17. So I was missing that. And I think I even told you that one time, Barbara. One of my boyfriends kind of yelled out and said, I'm not your daddy.
Exactly. Exactly.
He said, I'm not your dad. So if you're looking for me to be that type, you know, standing for you, then we need to break up now. So I was like, wow. And that was another eye opener. Yeah. So I had to really do some self-searching, and just really digging into me and saying, okay, do I even like myself? Because at that time I didn't. And it came back to my 7-year-old self, like you said, when people used to bully me and talk about me, all the stuff.
And we're talking about the know, like, and trust.
Yeah. So know, like, and trust yourself first.
We have to know, like, and trust ourselves first. To be authentic and be relatable. Because how can we possibly be to somebody else what you just said if we don't have it within ourselves?
Yeah.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, and mine was dry.
and mine was dry. A lady that I know, she was married. She was on her 5th husband.
Oh. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm looking down at Bob and I see his head go this way.
But exactly. She was on her 5th husband. And she would tell us, you know what? Men are all different, but husbands are all the same. I now know, if I had known then what I know now, I would have said, yeah, but they only have one common denominator. That's you.
That is funny.
You know
what you said, the common denominator is you, so it might not be them.
It might not be you.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
On my marriages, I've had 2 marriages. One ended divorce and one ended I was a widow. Yeah. But I look back on those 2 marriages, and I have to be honest, some of the issues that I dealt with, they were totally from me. Totally from me, which I now, my need to feel loved, that they had to make me feel loved, that I could only get my love because they loved me.
Yeah.
Well, no, I had to love me.
Yes, there it is.
I had to love me. And I realize now that for so many years, it wasn't that I didn't love myself. I didn't know how to love myself.
Yeah, that's it. That was the key. Yeah.
And that's the difference. And it's like you know it in your mind. Oh yeah, I love myself. But it doesn't hit your heart.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you and I talk about it, is do the things that make your heart sing. Not what's up here. Yeah. Up here is your intellect and your knowledge and that kind of stuff. But your heart is where you get your being from.
Yeah. Yes. Every time you say that, Barbara, I just have to lay in that, because that is just, when you said that the first time, it's always so powerful. But, I was going to say, when you said your heart, and then again, when you start meeting other people and building those relationships, then you have a heart for them. And just a prime example of that is just the other day, I was talking to a mother and daughter, a duo. They do their own show together. They're just they finish their words. They're just so cute. Yeah. They do. It's like one inch. I'm sitting there listening to them like, okay, I'm just going to go with you there. But they were frustrated. So instead of me, because, basically I was talking to them about basic diamond factor, all that kind of stuff, what I do, and being on their show, bringing it in. Anyway, I had to stop. I had to pause in my mind. And I said, first of all, I've been knowing these 2 ladies for a good maybe year. And I interviewed them the other day, and they said, Barbara, because they see what I do. They said, we're so Oh, Barbara, we're just upset. So I had to sit back and I said, okay, either one, I could sit there and start telling them, oh, you need to come on the Diamond Factory Network. You need to bring your show. I could do all, the song and dance, right? The selling, like you said.
The selling.
Or let me sit back and listen and ask them questions. So why are you so frustrated? What's going on?
What's going on?
I said, I don't see you like this. You two are usually just all, happy and everything that we talk about. But today they was not.
Right.
They were mad at themselves. They was just mad at the whole process of what they're going through and dealing with a lot of stuff. So I listened to them so long that I figured out they were saying things, but they weren't saying what was really here. But I could tell what it was because as of listening to them. So I'm saying that because if we really sit down and pull out and ask those questions of people, you could really hear what they're not saying.
Right.
And then I was hearing a lot of what they were not saying.
Right.
And
And don't you think that you can, when you sit and listen, and I am so guilty of this. Oh, I just jump into things and try to tell them instead of asking them.
Yes.
Such a difference. Telling them instead of asking them. Yeah. And that so often we are just going around the subject, instead of finding out the emotion below the subject.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's
important. The emotion, because emotions are just energy in motion.
Yeah. They're just going. Yeah.
They're just going.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we see the emotion underneath the subject. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, to the point, just going back to the mother and daughter duo, to the point where I was listening to so much and hearing the things that they weren't saying, as I even told myself, I said, they don't need my product right now.
Nope.
See, that's when you can really, if you could say to yourself that you're really not trying to sell, that's when you have the heart for that person and you really trying to build that like trust issue, when you could turn around and say, you know what, you are not even ready for this right now. Not saying you never will, but let's deal with this first. That's frustrating you. And that's what really get you going before we get to the next level. And you spend out money that you shouldn't be spending, and you're going to get the same results because you're not dealing with the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if we don't get down to the bottom part of what's actually happening, is it an integrity issue? Is it a consistency issue? Is it a delivering on your promises issue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to find out those things because people have to trust either themselves or each other or the process. I have a t-shirt that says trust the process. And let me tell you, every once in a while when I'm having a day, I get out that t-shirt and put it on. Barbara, trust the process. Because so much of stuff comes with a process. But you have to trust it.
Yeah, trust it. Because a lot of us are impatient. You know that. It is. We just want everything now. We want to figure out now. This now.
Or we want it yesterday.
Or the day before, or the week before.
And then beat ourselves up for not having it.
Yeah.
Because it's our fault.
No, it's not my fault. No.
We automatically go to what's wrong with me? Rather than you just weren't ready for the system, or you haven't trusted the system.
Yeah. Or you didn't let it. Yeah.
We tend to go to that blame game.
Yeah.
With ourselves, or instead of taking responsibility for our part, we blame the system. It was a two-way street. I've done both. Yeah. Let me tell you, I've done both.
You know what? I had to really be careful because I'm not trying to even talk. I'm not even going to go there with government right now. But since we came into it, I've been kind of leaning towards blaming somebody else. And I was like, okay, Barbara, you can't do that because you have so much control with you. So I had to always remember to myself that, you might not be in control of other things, but you do have control of yourself. And that control is being either happy, sad, or whatever you're going to be. because other, don't let other things make you to that, because you can control those emotions. You can control all that. So I got to keep remembering that when I be like, so I want to go there, but I have to, pull back. And like you said, just kind of look at the whole bigger picture. Yeah.
Right. And it's Eleanor Roosevelt. I go back to her all the time, is that no one can make you feel an emotion without your permission.
There you go. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I love that quote of hers, because it's absolutely the truth.
But you know what? A lot of people argue with me with that quote. They do, Barbara, because they be like, but they did, but they said, but they blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but you're letting your emotions run with you with what they said. Right. While they going bye-bye, because a lot of times that happens, they
don't even know they did anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't even know they hurt your feelings.
Yeah. And you're still sitting there upset for what? 2 hours, 3 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months,
10 years.
10 years. Well, yeah, that's kind of sad, because
there have been, I have heard some of the stories, clients talk about stuff. Well, they did that, and well, when did this happen? And I'm thinking 2 weeks ago. Well, 10 years ago.
What you said, Barbara? I thought it was just like 2 weeks or 1 day. You're talking about 10 whole years.
10 years ago.
So
that hurt and that emotion and that person has been living rent-free in your brain and in your emotions for 10 years. And they've been living rent-free. Ooh. But it's costing you your happiness, your relationships, whatever. Yeah.
That is deep. That's one of those moments that you just said, wow, yes, rent-free in your,
they've been living rent-free.
See, when you say it like that, bro, I'm like, no. We're going to stop the mess, stop the chaos. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now what I do, and then we're going to bring up our King Bob here. What I do is I test myself now. The times if I get upset, or, like you said, if somebody comes into my space and acts whatever the case may be, and I test myself, I say, okay, first of all, are you gonna go there with them, or are you going to pull away? Because you can do that, right? In certain situations, you can do that. I did it just the other day at my job. Everybody was upset at my job, including myself. I was upset. I was in the background. I didn't tell nobody. I was just saying, okay, let me stay.
But you knew within you.
But I knew within you. And I knew not to say nothing or talk with the other coworkers, because I knew what was going to happen with me. So when you know yourself and you know your true self, remember, knowing your true self, you know what to do. You know what boundaries you have to create. So my boundary was, I'm not going to talk to the other coworkers, because they were yelling. They were pissed. They were upset that something that corporate did. And first of all, there was no control. We couldn't. It's not like we could sit there and make changes. We couldn't. It was just, that was it. That was the rule. That was the email. Now we have to move on and deal with it, right? But they want to deal with it by yelling. So I was like, okay. So one of them texted me, Barbara, you're not in the room with us talking about this. What? I said, well, I got a lot of stuff going on. I got emails coming in. We're still doing work, right? It's still a work day. We still got to get some work done. And they're like, but aren't you pissed off at the fact that they da-da-da-da? I said, and that hour with all of us talking was to do what? To get my emails to my clients. It's not going to happen. I love you all, but I have to keep my sanity. Yeah. Now, a long time ago, Barbara, I'd have been there with them.
With him. Which would have been unproductive.
Yep. Unprofessional. Because people look at me as the elder, which I'm like, stop. But they do. They call me elder, Barbara. They do. I'm elder. So if I'm an elder, I got to show good leadership, and I can't be
and show leadership.
Yeah. So with that, Barbara, tell us a little bit before the King comes on, King Bob, how you met him and what's he gonna tell us today.
We connected on LinkedIn. We talked about writing a book, which is that's on my bucket list. I'm going to write a book. And then it was just like, we were talking about the know, like, and trust factor. He said, well, I've taken that a step further. And I was like, oh, how have you done that? Well, great conversation. Of course, the next thing was, I need to have you on the show. So Here he is. Oh, I'm so good. Yeah, it's we had a great conversation about know, like, and trust.
Yes,
So
I
he
can't
had
wait to
to
hear
take
his.
it to a whole next level.
I can't wait to hear his take on the whole next level of it.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
give our sponsors a little bit love so we can get him up here and hear what he has to say. We'll be right back.
Good Friday, everyone. Your real worth isn't defined by your net worth. What makes you valuable is how you use what you have been given. All of us have gifts. Make sure you're making the most of yours. Have an amazing Friday.
It is now the bottom of the hour. I'm excited to welcome Nancy Matthews to our program today. Nancy is an author of a book. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it in the carousel for you guys. There it is, The One Philosophy. I want to talk to Nancy not only about the re-release of the book, but also what it's been like for her to share the message with all of you guys. Nancy, great to have you on with us.
Hello, hello, hello. So happy to be here.
Hello, hello, hello. We are back. Time to shine happiness show. If you just came in to watch, this is the BBs, Barbara Beckley and Barbara Ellison. And we are here on our second half with the wonderful King of Kings, Mr. Yes, Bob. Yes, you are king.
I love that.
King Bob.
I can't wait to share this with my girlfriend. See, someone thinks I'm a king.
Tell her we told it. We told it. We put it. We deemed you.
I need a copy of this. I'll pay any amount of money.
Any amount of money. No, but yes. So yeah, we always want to tell you, first of all, that we appreciate you coming on the show. I do. If you know Barbara, I love you because I love Barbara. So that's how that works. And that's what we're talking about with relationships.
I appreciate the opportunity. I really do. We're gonna you set up what I'm going to talk about really well. Can I walk right into it?
Sure, just
Absolutely.
Okay. So first, I have to give a quick history lesson for those of you who don't know. Know, Like, and Trust comes from a book in the early 2010s by Bob Berg and John David Mann. The book was called The Go-Giver. It was a parable where they talk about the qualities to be successful in work. In that, there was a component of customer service and sales that was you have to know who that person is, you have to like them, and trust them. And I talked to Bob Berg about this on LinkedIn last week because I told him what I was up to, and he told me, make sure you always mention that I said in the quote, all things being equal. All things being equal between two people, you need to know, like, and trust one over the other. Makes perfect sense. I agree with them 1,000%. However, I think that's old school.
okay.
So I'm going to replace the three words. So instead of know, I'm going to offer understand. We need to understand the person that we're going to buy from. Instead of like, I think we need to love. And by love, I mean a shared passion. So Barbara and I had shared passion over how to communicate. It's not her work. It's kind of my work, but we found common ground in that. And so I think it's fair to say, I use the word love, not romantically, but you and I loved it. You even said it. I loved the discussion. I loved what he had to say. And then the third one, and this is the key, instead of trust, I think now we have to believe, because so many of us have had our trust broken.
Yes.
You bought something on Amazon. You thought it was going to be 18 inches long and it was 9. You went to a restaurant that everyone told. I'm sorry. I heard that. No, seriously. I mean, you can buy things. I've had the experience where you buy something, and I'll tell you, this goes back to when I was 10 years old. I had some money, Christmas money, and I went out to buy myself something with my parents, and I bought magic cards. It said on the box, these cards will make you a magician. So I go home. I'm expecting they're going to do all the work. No, there's 18 pages of instructions. Guess what? I'm not a magician. Yeah. Never have been. That was the first time I felt like my trust in a company was broken. Now, I want to talk about the other side of this, which is if you believe in someone, you have them on your podcast. And Barbara and I have never done work together at all. And so I would argue, because so many of us are in business and we're networking, it's like, oh, I got to meet these people. I got to meet more people, and they have to buy from me and I have to buy from them. But ultimately, what I find is the people that I refer, I believe in.
Yes.
I go to a client or I go to a friend and say, hey, I heard you're looking for this person to help you with, I don't know, business cards. Well, I know a guy, and I talked to him. He's a great guy. You're going to love what he says. You're going to get what you need. Mm-hmm. Never ask me, well, how many business cards did you get from him? What did he charge you? So I really think we believe in people, and especially in this day and age where we have to have something more. I really think belief replaces trust, because when I believe in you, Barbara, I believe in you. So if you and I have if this had happened a half hour later, you know what? It happens. If I didn't believe in you, but I got a busy day going. You're killing me here. And by the way, this was on time. I'm using it as a hypothetical. Mm-hmm. And so what I tried to do with my business is take this into a book. So first of all, I believe every single person has a story to tell. Every one of us. And so if you're saying, oh, I don't have a story, call me. I'll talk you through it. We'll find a story. I used to be a journalist years ago. Every single time I would go out, I would find a story. Every single time. If you didn't have a story, you found it. People are inherently interesting. We all are unique, and we all have something to share with the world. So that's the first thing about what I do now. I help people tell their stories in books. Some of the books are fictional accounts of their lives, doing a little bit of that now. A lot of the books are lead generation books. So this is where picture a business person. Barbara, you said that you are a mind-body architect, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a perfect topic for a book because no one knows what the heck that means. Yes. And when you start to explain it to me, I'm going to gloss over after about 3 minutes, like everyone listening to me right now is doing probably. So if you had a book, you could say, hey, we only got to talk for a half hour, Bob. There's more about what I do, and I'd love to send you a book. Can I mail that to you, or would you like the ebook? Oh, by the way, if I mail it to you, I'd love to autograph it for you. Is that okay? Sure. Spell your name one more time. Send it to them. They get a book in the mail, usually about 2, 3, 4 days later, which is right about the time we tend to forget about people. I don't know if you're that way. I know for me, it's like I talked to someone on Monday and it's Tuesday, and I'm just realizing I didn't call them back. Yeah. We have a very short attention span. So the book does a couple of things. One, it reinforces your message. It allows you to go deeper than you can in a discussion. Two, it helps you remind the person or tell them up front, because you could also send them a book ahead of a meeting. It helps them understand that you understand their problem, how you got to your solution to their problem, why you think it matters, and what can happen. It's a great opportunity to talk about testimonials. It's a great opportunity to bring your whole life into this moment, because I don't know about you, but for me, working on books, I was a journalist, I did public relations and marketing, I taught English, and then I was a business coach. All four of those things conspire to be really unique and make me the guy that can do this work. There aren't a whole lot of people out there that have that resume. That's what makes me unique. Now, if that's not of appeal to you, hey, no problem. But that's what makes me unique. So there's a book being written about that. And the book also does the thing that you can contact the person a couple days later and say, hey, we just want to make sure you got my book. So instead of that awkward, I haven't heard from them, now you have a reason to call. But here's what's even better. They typically will call you when they get the book because they don't believe you're going to send them a book, because no one in their right mind would mail someone a book. First of all, no one in their right mind would use mail. That's an overwhelming thought. And two, it's a book. So it looks big in the stack of mail. And people are inherently going to open it. And even if they don't read it, they're going to look at the cover. If the cover speaks to them and their problem, and if the back cover refers to the person that's writing it and also gives some information, I'll tell you right now, that's a win. My mother hasn't even read my books. I've got 6. She hasn't read them. She's not going to. If my mom won't read the books, no one's going to read them. And so the premise isn't that they're going to read the book cover to cover. It's also, you don't want them to be a bestseller. I'll tell you right now, I make more money from my books by my books selling me business than I will ever make from being a bestseller. And I know you can hear all these people, oh, as a bestseller. And they were a bestseller on Amazon in some esoteric category like scuba diving in the Maldives on a Thursday afternoon. And they were a bestseller for about 12 seconds. And that's it. If that's what you want, if that's what you're looking for, that's great. But what I would rather have is a book that makes an impact on the people that I can make an impact with, because that's really the name of the game. You're doing this podcast, hopefully, for people that you think can resonate with your message.
Right.
If you were just doing this podcast and sending it to NASCAR drivers, probably wouldn't work real well. Just crazy thought. So am I making sense so far? Because I find that, 1, I talk fast. 2, I'm very passionate. And 3, I'm shifting the paradigm a bit.
Well, first, thank you for the history too.
Okay.
When you start off, because I did not know where that even came
It's
from.
a great book.
Yeah. I
Barb,
love it.
You got to get that book. It is.
Barb, I'm reading it right
in
now.
the canon of business books, and it really does explain that giving value is the key.
Yes.
And value, a lot of people when it first came out were like, well, I don't like this book because he's saying give it away.
Mm-hmm.
He's not saying that. He's saying I'm giving value, hopefully, with what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Right. Someone's going to go, oh, wow, that resonates with me.
Yeah.
Damn, that's kind of interesting. I want to talk to this guy. I've still got to earn their business. It doesn't mean I'm going to write a book for you for free, but I'm giving value up front in the hopes that someone doesn't just know, like, and trust me, but understands, loves what I'm talking about, and believes in me and my ability to solve their problem with them. Right. Not to solve their problem, because I would also argue that we solve problems together. When my plumber comes to my condo and he does work, he doesn't come in and go, all right, let me go to work. He says, Mr. Graham, tell me what's going on. Right? So we're solving it together. And he says, hey, by the way, I need to clear out this cabinet before I can get under there. Can you move that stuff for me? Hey, it's going to make a little noise. Are you on a call right now? We're working together. And so much of what I think know, like, and trust is very one-sided outgoing. And what I'm trying to get at is bringing it together, because here's the thing. If you believe in me, I can make a mistake, and we're all going to make a mistake. It's coming. And so my clients who are the best are the ones who, one, I make a mistake, I admit to it, and they go, hey, you know what? I get it. Fix it. We're good. Second, they are my advocates, so much so that they'll tell me without even me asking. And by the way, a book's a great tool for that, because it's like, hey, clients, you know anyone who might like a copy of this book? Oh yeah, my brother John, he'd love the book. What's John's address? Let me have his address and let me sign a book. Now John gets a book, or his brother gives it to him and says, hey, here's a book. This guy's great. So imagine if you're a financial advisor, an insurance broker, or anyone in a field where it's very competitive. It really differentiates you. It's different than social media, which, by the way, the book that we write together, a lead generation book, is a great tool for social media. It is your social media content for a year or longer. It's your videos. It's your interviews. It's a great thing on an interview to be like, hey, by the way, if you're interested in what I'm doing, here's a book. People like books. And the research is that people who are millennials and younger are reading on average a year one more book than the baby boomers and the Gen X.
Really? Wow. Now that's
I will tell you that number is from 4 to 5 on average. So it's not like a billion, it's not a million books. But if you go into a library and talk to a librarian, they will tell you more people are coming in than before. If you go into an independent bookstore, they are flourishing. Wow. They are doing really well. So books are not, this is not like the 8-track tape.
Yeah, that's what
you can remember that. For you young people, look it up. It was really bad because you could not change the song. I got her.
Yeah, they really gotta look that up by if they're under a certain age. They're gonna be like,
I taught college. I know all about it. You make a reference to like some 70s person like Barry Manilow, and they'd be like,
who? Or one day, one of the things that got me the other day, I was talking about when my mom was an absolute baseball junkie.
Okay.
And back in the day, but the TV, of course, had tubes.
Yep.
And I was saying that, we had to be so careful coming into the house because if you jumped wrong, you could blow a tube. And the person they went, what? I said, well, yeah. TVs had tubes. Now you can watch TV on your watch.
You can indeed. Yes.
No clue that TVs had tubes.
Mm-hmm.
So can I take this a little further?
Sure.
Well, before you go a little further,
sure.
I went back. I was laughing when you were saying about Amazon, where you thought you bought it 12 inch, you got a 9 inch. Because I just recently, even 9. I just recently, because I had to get a new vacuum cleaner. So on the screen, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's just this amount of money. It looked like that. But they delivered it to me 2 days later. I'm sitting there having to basically bend because it was so small. I did the same thing.
Which is, so here's the thing, Barbara. That's a great example. I would argue that when you bought that, you trusted Amazon.
I did.
Okay.
You did.
Now, do you trust Amazon now, or are you going to be more skeptical going forward? And I might argue also, if you had great success with Amazon for the last 10 years, you believe in Amazon. They're going to deliver it in 2 days. So when you have this mistake, you're going to call Amazon, or you're going to text them, or you're going to do whatever you do and say, hey, I'd like a refund, or this isn't what I expected. And notice what Amazon's really good about is giving returns, because they want you to believe that they're vetting the items. And I want to say, Amazon, I love you. You're an amazing company. Thanks to you, I've sold a couple of books, so thank you. No downside. Jeff Bezos, love that you have the Washington Post as an old journalist. All good.
But you said we had to put that disclaimer there.
That's it. I'm no fool. I don't want him to not believe in me.
No, I'm telling you. But yeah, it was just funny how you said that. And I said, and then when you said believe, it is so important, more so than trust, but you need to believe in that person all the time. So even if they do make mistakes, like you said, that still, it's like we all do that, but I believe in them still. I still love them, like you said, and believe in them. Yeah.
And you understand them.
Yes.
Hey, Amazon, this is a mistake. I know I can go to the return. I take it to the Kohl's or the Staples, and I get my refund on my credit card that night.
I think.
So you've got all those things, and I don't. If you just knew Amazon, that would be like it was when they first came out. Like, what's this thing? Amazon? Isn't that like far away? Oh no, they're a store. That's no. Liking them is, oh well, I used them once. They were successful. They got to me in a week. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. I could find it online. Trust is, well, they got to me once on time, but the second time maybe not. And you see companies working so hard now to make sure you believe in them. Another one that comes to mind is Chick-fil-A. Yeah. They have a huge line at every mealtime, but you believe that they're going to get you through that line quick because they got the kids out there doing their little thing on the iPads. And you also believe that your food is going to be correct.
Yes.
because I took food home a couple months ago and it was wrong.
Oh.
That was the first time. And I went back and I said, hey, this is wrong. They're like, oh, we'll fix it. So sorry, we'll fix it for you. They fixed it right away. And they gave me 2 free entrees to make up for it because they want me to keep believing in them. And notice, as I tell that story, at one point, whoa, Chick-fil-A messed up your order. Wow, that's terrible. Oh, I may not use them. But when I told you the correction, I can believe in them. So that's the other part of this is belief is really the powerful element here. Now, Bob Berg would tell you that belief and trust are very close, but I think belief is stronger. Yeah. In my mind, you know, when you believe something, it's an act of faith. Yes. When you and it's based on anticipation of the future, right? I believe that this interview is going to be really fun, so I come into it with the right attitude. If I trusted it, it would have meant I looked at the last 23 episodes and saw, oh, wow, these guys do a great job. That's the differentiator to me. Belief is what's coming. Trust is what's based on the past.
Good analogy, Bob. I like
I like that. Trust.
That's true.
Okay.
Right? And so let me go a step further because people always ask, well, how do you help me write a book? One of the things, see, I told you, Barbara, you just wind me up and I spin.
I jumped in a little bit.
You did. One of the things I really believe in, and I saw it so often when I was a journalist years ago, I would talk to new business owners, do a story about their new business. I'd be like, oh, what got you in business? Well, I got displaced from my job and I had to start something. And I figured that, you know, a vacuum store would be really good. There isn't a vacuum store. I'd be like, really? Oh my God. You have this nice platform and you're wasting it. And what I realized over the years was it wasn't that they didn't know what their story was. They didn't know how to connect it to their audience.
Yeah. Right.
So when you talk, Barbara, about the vacuum, you know, there's a disconnect. They should have said, by the way, this is for less tall people or people that don't mind bending over, whatever that looks like. And so I have a 5-step process to write a book. It's called Power. P is positioning. And you'd be amazed. I get people all the time. Oh, you know, I know exactly what my business, I know who I'm trying to reach. Okay. Who are you trying to reach? Well, men. Well, that narrows it. Okay. Now I'm a 59-year-old man. There are things that 59-year-old men are more apt to buy than 20-year-old men. You need only watch TV at 7 o'clock in any town in America to know what I mean. But you also have the things that if you know your target audience, and this is where I think niche down that they always say, and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't niche down. I won't get any business. But as you get deeper into the exact people you want to help, they will come to you and they'll share your message with the people on the side. And I realized a couple of years ago, you know, when you say niche down, it doesn't mean you can't take people who don't fit. So I typically work with people writing books for lead generation, but I've helped people with some memoirs. I'm writing a historical story that's going to be fiction for someone because it's still in my wheelhouse. I can choose it, but it's not what I'm primarily going after. And if my message is going to resonate with my audience, I need to know what their issues are. I need to talk in their language. If you go to my website, I love when people are like, oh, I love your website, Bob. And I'm like, oh, what do you like about it? Oh, it's like we're friends. It's like you're talking to me. That's exactly how I would say it. And I like to use the old bar test. This is something I created. No, I don't. Well, I spend a little time at bars. But if you're talking about your business, how would you describe it to that person that sits down next to you at the bar and says, hey, so I hear that you're what was it, Barb? A mind-body architect.
A mind.
What's that mean? And if you go, well, I take transformational strategies that use synergies within the mind and the body using the latest neurosurgery, blah, blah. The person's going to be like, I'm sorry, what? But if you say, hey, here's what I do. I transform people and I'm like an architect for the body and the mind. And they go, oh, that's awesome.
How they fit together.
So often we have to find the big words when it's the simple message that really resonates with our audience because that's what they're thinking. And I try very hard to make sure that the language of a book or website or anything, any marketing, this works for any marketing, says what your client or customer is expecting to see and hear, because then they're going to realize you understand them.
Right.
And then after positioning, we outline the book. And when I say outline, don't think ninth grade. We're not going to have I's and V's and X's and all. It's very simple. You can do it with dots. You can do it with dashes. I don't care how on a napkin, on your computer, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about what do these people that your ideal customers are, what do they need to know? So Barbara, if we're doing it with your example, all right, mind, body, architecture. I'm sure there's a mind, body, parts body. Where are some of the things we go through it? And then, all right, great. That's great, Barbara. These sound like topics. Now, what are some stories you have that can go to that? Now notice we're writing an outline without writing an outline. And then from there, it's writing. And more, I'm finding that people want to write the book themselves. But after we've gone through those first steps and they have about 2 weeks and like, this is really not fun, they go, hey, Bob, what would it look like if you wrote that for me? And because I've done that work, I know what they're trying to do and I can deliver it because I understand their client or customer, sometimes even better than they do. Okay. And then the E is editing. And then the last one is R for release. And that's a whole strategy I've built up. It can be everything from Amazon. It can be to your clients, to your prospects. I've got some ways to do it. And I will tell you one other thing about books that I didn't mention. And that is they are the best business card you will ever find for 2 reasons. Yes. One, my dry cleaner has never handed me a book in a plastic bag and said, Mr. Graham, I found this in your back pocket. He's handed me about 100 business cards in the last year. The other thing is, if you sign a book, the person feels guilty about getting rid of it. They're like, oh, what if they see this at the landfill? What if someone has it in the used bookstore and Bob sees his book and it's got my name on it? He's going to call me up and hate me. I've seen people hold on to it. They'll show me my books in the background of their Zoom. One woman held on to her book for 3 months because she wanted me to sign it because her friend got the book signed. No one's ever asked me to sign a business card, not once. And so you can see there's a lot of power here. And I should say one more thing. When we talk about books, I'm not talking about the traditional textbook from 11th grade. Because immediately someone's like, well, I don't know enough to write a textbook. Yeah, I hope you don't. Why would you? I've done it. It's no fun. It's a 60 to 100 page paperback book. And it's got what I like to call permission to not read. So there's lots of white space. There's lots of subheadings. It's usually about 12 to 15,000 words. So if you remember your 5-paragraph essay, that's 500 words times what? It's 24. And it's not as hard as you think because unlike most people who start writing a book with a blank page, we know who you're talking to. We know what you need to say. And we've got this detailed outline. Doesn't mean you can't deviate, but you are never in a place where you don't know what you're writing.
Yes.
And that's the secret to getting books written. I know because first book I wrote, I was like, I wrote it and then I had to rewrite it because it didn't work. So I got all the way to the end. And I'm like, okay, now I got to do it another way. And I was away for the summer at the beach. And my commitment to myself was to have the book done by the end of the summer. I spent the first 6 weeks doing it the way I didn't like. And I had to redo it. I was like, okay, from now on, we're going to have a lockdown outline. So have I put you all to sleep?
No, I am so glad that you mentioned about using it as a business card. I tell people that all the time because somebody, and just before because I know with time already? Wow. Yeah. I told somebody.
But many people, Barbara, say that I make it seem like it's hours when it's merely minutes.
Well, it felt like minutes.
Ask any college student that I taught.
But I got to get this in because I want to make sure. First, I'm saying it right. I told them right when you said about the business card with the book, because like you said, that is a way to introduce yourself to get them to know you and all that kind of stuff. Plus, when I was telling this person this, they were like, well, no, somebody told me I got to sell like 200 books or I got to sell 1,000 books. So what you're saying, Barbara, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to be giving away stuff free. I need to sell all these books. I said, okay, so now you're going to base all your business on selling these books.
And I'm telling you right now, even big publishing companies can't get books to be bestsellers. You got to be Colleen Hoover, I think that's her name, John Grisham, Danielle Steele, or J.K. Rowling's to sell a hot book right now. And notice those are all fiction.
Yeah.
You know, the Elon Musk book a year or so ago had a good success, but it's not the norm. And no one's going to back your book. Even if you get a major publisher, if it's your first book, they're not going to invest a lot of money. They're going to say, hey, you know what? You want to sell your book? Happy to help you. You let us know where you're going and we'll ship some books there, but you're going to sell them and you're going to take them to the next town.
Yeah.
So, and books, just so you know, the cost of a book per copy to get printed, the size I'm talking about, you're talking about between $3 and $6 a book. And if you do it onesies and twosies by putting it on Amazon, you're not putting 1,000 books in your basement and going, oh my God, how am I going to get rid of them? You can literally go yourself and buy them, get 20 of them at cost, and then ship them out to people. Or you can have people go, well, I like the validation of, oh yeah, this book's on Amazon. You know, if you look up my name on Amazon, you'll see a soft skills book. You'll see a book about Renegade Way about entrepreneurship. And it's like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. That's the whole goal.
The whole thing. And it's also, like you said, real quickly, Bob, it gives you that credibility to a certain extent too. Yeah.
Makes you a thought leader that gets invited to be on stages, to be on podcasts, and that's in front of your target audience. It does so much for you. And the one thing I want to get across, it's not as hard as you think it is. Let's talk about it. Let me walk you through. I do a free outline with people because I want them to see what it is.
Okay.
I want them to look at the outline and go, whoa, I like this. And what happens when we do an outline is often they'll go, I could write this book. Let's go. Let's do it. It's only a couple months. It's not 10 years. It's a couple months.
You're giving them the confidence up front by saying, okay, let's do. You see how fast you did this? You can do this.
Absolutely.
With your help.
Yep. There you go. So call me King one more time, Barbara. I love that.
King
yes. I love it. This has been really fun. Thank you for letting me spin for 28 minutes and 31 seconds.
No problem. Well, before you go, we just want to just thank you. And please, King Bob, let them know where they can contact you.
Easiest thing to do is go to SpearPoint. That's SpearPoint, ink as in ink, because it's books and ink.com. And if you want to schedule a time to work on an outline, you can go to SpearPointInk.com/talk, TALK. You can also, I don't do this normally, but I will. If you want to call me, 410-438-8300. And the reason I say that is when your customer wants to talk to you, be available to them. Yeah. Because it's a fleeting thing. So if you're doing this right now, you're like, oh, I want to talk to them about a book. Ding, ding, ding. Call me. 410-438-8300.
Yes. I like that. Yeah. See, you're giving me confirmation because I just did that the other day with a client. I said, no, let me get my cell number. If you need me, I want to be available for you.
Absolutely. Because then they believe in you, right?
Yes.
Because now you're saying, I'm willing to put myself out to help you. Versus, I'm sorry, call my phone tree and I'll try to get back to you in the next week or two because I'm really busy. That's not a person I want to work with. That's not someone I believe in.
I just call the phone tree. King Bob, this has been a pleasure. We got to bring you back, King Bob.
Yep, absolutely.
I can spin. You could call me on last minute and I'll spin. Give me a topic I can spin.
Yeah. I mean, really, next time, I really feel like we should talk more about the story, of that. People telling the story because I've been hearing a lot of people.
I'd love to. I have some great examples of where it's worked and how it's worked with people you wouldn't expect.
Yes.
Including myself. No, I was in front of the Future Business Leaders of America National Conference in Washington speaker because of one of my books.
Wow. See, that's impressive.
See, that's and once you say that to people, they're like, oh, wow, I should have listened to the last 47 minutes of that. You can always go backwards. And if you go to twice the speed, you can cut the time. Little tip from me to you.
Yep. Well, thank you, King Bob. Barbara,
Thank
any
you.
last thoughts before we close out?
Yeah, just tell your story. I mean, and we talk about it all the time. Tell your story. And if you need help to tell your story, talk to Bob.
No,
Let
King
him
Bob.
help you. Let him help you tell your story.
Thank you.
King
Yes.
Bob. King Bob.
King Bob.
Appreciate
King Bob. Yes.
I appreciate you both. It's really been a lot of fun, and I love the things you were talking about before I came on.
Just don't get married 5 times. Okay, with that said,
Yes.
we'll see you next Wednesday.
That was the most.
Well, goodbye, everybody. And thank you so much for listening to the Time to Shine Happiness Show. I'm your host, Barbara Ellison, and I look forward to seeing you next time, where we will have a great guest talking about making happiness the norm rather than the exception. Because, we believe that each and every one of us deserves to lead a happy, healthy, debt-free, abundant life, whatever that means to you. So join us again. And please, to get reminded, hit the subscribe button or the like button wherever you're listening to us. And we will see you next time. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.